Here we go. Welcome, Average Joe Nation from around the globe. Props to you for staying up to date and keeping in the know. With fantasy football, man, very soon you'll reign. The knowledge that these three guys have, man, it is insane. Yeah, fantasy football talk hateful eight, they wear the crown. Hold it down. Pickle, Blackburn, and Trimboli, hold it down. Pulling up to the recording studio, we're getting loud. Getting ready, headphones on, red light, go, break it down.
Welcome back to the Hateful Eight Fantasy Football Podcast with your host, I'm Pickle, and with me as always, Blackburn.
What up?
Head back for round two, Trimboli.
What's going on?
All right, big weekend ahead for week 4 of the NFL season, I guess.
Already a quarter of the way.
Quarter of the way of your fantasy season is
my Bengals
already
about
started.
to go 0-4.
So
Good start.
So is Washington.
Could be a Miami fan. But you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, DATV 10:30s on Friday, and then also 4 p.m. on Sundays, and then anywhere your podcast platforms you listen to. So main segment, obviously, is the good, the bad, the ugly for week 4. So let's go ahead and get straight into... Oh, I lost it. There it is.
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
All right, the good, the bad, the ugly. Week 4 presented by Trophy Smack. Thousands of different fantasy trophies and combinations. Also fantasy championship rings, fantasy championship belts. And they just released the, for fantasy baseball players, they actually have the baseball trophies now available as well.
Nice.
So fantasy trophies galore at this, at
Get that belt.
trophysmack.com.
Get that belt.
That is a legit belt. So still trying to work how to finagle to get a custom one for.
Listen, if I had one and I won, I would send you guys Christmas cards just with me wearing it.
I'd
Just
post
to
Christmas
remind
videos
you.
and just put it out.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
I'd have my own entrance, like the Road Warriors and everything. It'd be awesome.
Here you go, ride a motorcycle right through your living room.
Yeah.
But this week, the good, the bad, the ugly. I've got the good, Trimboli's got the bad, and then Blackburn's got the ugly.
Yep.
I just looked at my notes. I put ugly. So it was a double ugly, apparently.
Yeah, that's what happened.
It is what it is. Everybody else got a name. But anyways.
I'm ugly.
Ugly. So the first game out the gate that we're going to get into is the Tennessee Titans and the Atlanta Falcons game. So for me, the good in this one is Austin Hooper. The biggest thing for me with Austin Hooper is he's been the focal point in this offense, specifically in the red zone, and especially with the fact that Freeman has been
non-existent, really.
Yeah.
He's essentially been the red zone threat for this offense, and he's catching a lot of passes. He's not just the red zone guy like a Jason Witten, where it's just being focused in the red zone. I mean, and the biggest thing I'm looking at, so Tennessee coming in, they are giving up an average of 11 fantasy points to the tight end through 3 weeks, which ranks them somewhere in the 30 range. So I think a 10 to 11 fantasy point week for Austin Hooper is not out of the question.
Absolutely.
Not at all.
So, I mean, and I looked across, I think the Tennessee defense is going to try to take away Julio as best they can, put some pressure on Matt Ryan, but just so everybody knows, it's in Atlanta, so Matt Ryan typically plays well, and so does the Falcons offense.
Yeah, he tends to ball out
Yep.
in his own home.
True story.
So I like Austin Hooper in this game.
I do too. And I'm playing him. I'm rostering this week in a ton of lineups. So
That's saying. All right, the bad in this one for you.
I've kind of just grouped them all together, but the Titans wide receivers against Atlanta.
Yeah, they suck.
Well, Atlanta ranks 8th for passing yards allowed each week, and Mariota's been sacked an unprecedented 17 times already.
Wow.
If you can't stand upright, how's he going to get these guys the ball? I don't know. I'm kind of punting on the Titans.
They can't run routes and they can't catch, so, I mean, they're essentially offensive linemen.
It's crazy. So who do you feel most confident in that wide receiving core going forward?
Delaney Walker.
Well, yeah, and actually that's crazy.
If you
I would have
had
said
to
the same
ask me
thing.
one that has the title of wide receiver actually in their name.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Adam Humphries.
Right.
That'd be about the only guy.
because of checkdowns.
A.J. Brown's rookie. He's not really running really great routes. He's got good hands. He can't get open.
Yeah.
The guy who can get open, Corey Davis, can't catch.
No, he's got to.
And Adam Humphries just seems to be the forgotten guy out there.
Tajay Sharp, he had a couple of big catches in that.
Well, and the targets have been spread around between a bunch of guys. I just think that's a product of he's just throwing to who he can right out of the rip.
Yep.
Well,
He's 3 steps, he's got to get rid of it.
It's fear. It's that 3-step drop fear. It's like, okay, on my 3rd step, I've got to be looking for a guy on my 2nd step back because I've got to release whoever it is, just so we're all aware. I don't know. I would steer clear of any and every Titan wide receiver for the rest of the season. Sorry.
I agree.
Yeah.
I would just leave the spot open if you had him on your roster. I would take a 0. Just saying.
Wow.
Just saying. Just saying. I'd rather.
Wow, I don't know if I'd go with
Yeah,
that philosophy,
don't do that,
but
it's pretty close. My ugly for this one is Derrick Henry. He's averaging 17 rushing attempts per game, 70 yards, and he has had a touchdown every week, which has pretty much saved him because they're all, like we said, the Titans' offense is pretty much non-existent. If it weren't for those touchdowns for Henry, he wouldn't even be that viable.
It's the same. I wouldn't say it's the same as the Packers, but the defense in Tennessee is carrying that offense because that offense is not doing anything.
Well, teams are just stacking the box because they know they're going to give it to Henry, and they're forcing Mariota to try to beat him.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's the thing.
Atlanta's 8th against running back, so it's not a good matchup.
No, not good. Not good.
I still say, though, I hope Henry has a down week because he's one I'd actually go after moving forward in the year.
Yeah.
I think he's been a very good play all year, and I'm waiting for one down week the way I can maybe look at getting him buy low.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, I realize someone at this table owns him. I'll never be able to buy low with him, but the concept's still there.
My door's always open for trade talk.
You never know. You never know.
It's going to cost my firstborn.
It's true. So next game we've got in this one is the Redskins at Giants. So the good for me in this one, Sterling Shepard, and it's because, well, as you said in the Thursday show, Josh Norman is not playing well, and he's their best corner on that team. Washington has given up an average of 39 fantasy points total to the wide receiver position. So Sterling Shepard's like the only wide receiver that's really worth having in that offense, and Evan Ingram. So 31st against wide receivers, giving up an average of 39 fantasy points. I think Sterling Shepard has double-digit points this week.
Absolutely.
And I think Daniel Jones is a key play for help. And I think if this was Eli being the quarterback, I would have had a hard time putting Sterling Shepard in it, but because Daniel Jones came in and he is actually moving the ball, and there is no Saquon, I think this is going to be a passing-heavy offense this week.
Well, go ahead.
No, go.
I was going to say, I'm going to piggyback off of you. My ugly for this one is Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
He threw up 336 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he also ran for 2 touchdowns last week, too, for 39 points. And that was against Tampa Bay, 29th ranked defense for QBs. Now they're playing Washington, who's right there at 30. It's going to be ugly.
Yeah.
Let's see, when the show previous when I talked about Carson Wentz, Daniel Jones is the upside I like this week because he gives you enough with his legs and the fact that I think he's going to pass the ball all over the field against Washington. He's going to score more points, I think, at least for fantasy purposes.
Yeah.
He's that quarterback one you can get, and you're getting him potentially off the waiver wire if people have just been sleeping on him.
Absolutely. And next week they get Golden Tate back.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's another weapon.
I'd say the offense is just going to get more pass-friendly.
Right.
Especially with Barkley out for the next couple weeks. And I know Wayne Gallum's going to be there and everything, but Wayne
can
Gallum's
catch too.
I was going to say he's more of a pass-catching back setup. He's more of a James White, if you want to put it in the perspective of a traditional pass-catching back, or a Tariq Cohen. Something. He's a little undersized. He's not got a lot of I wouldn't say a lot of muscle on him. He's just a scat back. He's essentially a pass-catching back. So if you're not really getting anywhere with the run, just throw the ball a bunch.
Well, actually, he's my bad play in this, so I'm glad you brought him up. I think everyone's going to think that they're getting the Barkley numbers, or at least close to, with him. You're not. The offense is going to look totally different. It's going to be really pass-heavy. I think he'll get enough to potentially sneak in a PPR play, maybe double-digit points, but don't expect a a day.
Yeah, you're not getting the Saquon 20, 25 plus points.
Absolutely.
I think if you walk out with Wayne Gallum getting 10 to 11, I think you'd be happy for the
If you
day.
get 10 to 12, that's a good day.
Yeah.
If you're really hurting on running backs, I mean you're able to get him, play him. But I mean, if you have any other option, to me he's a low end RB2. So
yeah, I agree.
And like we've been saying, Washington has been tough against the run too.
That's
Right.
it.
So.
Yeah, Evan Ingram and Sterling Shepard, big days.
All right. Next one, Chargers at Dolphins. For me in this one, the good is the Chargers defense because, well, you're not sitting any of the Chargers offensive players,
Right.
unless they're injured.
Sitting them all.
So
Dolphins by 40. I'm just
Joey
kidding.
Bosa is just licking his chops right now.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that whole defense is just sitting there like, yeah.
Come on, Rosen.
Whoever. Rosen, Fitzpatrick, because Rosen got hurt. There's no talk if he's playing or not. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Listen, I'd fake an injury at this point.
I was saying, you could go get, as they say in the Waterboy, Joe Montana.
Montana.
It don't matter who's back there at quarterback. It's going to be bad. I mean, when your best option receiver, your best receiver is Devonta Parker, that's a bad day.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the leading reception guy and receiver on that team, and he's not even like been worthwhile of mention for the past, I don't know, since he came in as a rookie. So I just think that the Chargers defense, you can't sit them this week. And I will just tell you, go ahead and find who Miami's playing week 5 and go ahead and stream that as well. I'm just saying, that's a streamable defense every week.
Well, there's a guy in our league that's doing that. He's had the defenses, whoever's playing the Dolphins for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. Ramsey. Anyways.
I know. Hey,
give up the Dallas
smart.
defense. I'm just saying they're not playing the Dolphins again. Whatever. Anyways.
No,
So
they got to play
Homer
Washington
over
again.
here was trying to get that Dallas D.
I was. Anyways, so who is the bad in this one?
Mine is take a pick on the offensive weapon that the Dolphins are going to roll out there.
Right.
I'm not really high on any of them. I mean, there's a few names out there if you really want to take a shot in the dark at. I mean, really, I kind of like Kenyon Drake could be a decent play here. The Chargers are terrible against the run, but I'm not going to lie to you. It's going to get ugly. I'm not trusting any of them.
Right. And I'm going to roll right with anything that. My ugly is Preston Williams. He's got you 10.8 points per game at least. So that's
He's stable.
whatever. But what it is it's garbage time touchdowns. So, yeah, Kenyon Drake and Preston Williams could get you a garbage time touchdown. If you got to play somebody, if you're in a pinch, then, I mean, you could throw them in there, but I wouldn't recommend it.
No.
I'll tell you what, for anyone who owns the Dolphins right now, players, it's unfortunate that the bye week is only the Jets and San Francisco this week, because where bye week issues come into play, this is when the Dolphins players come valuable, because you're going to need to play somebody.
Really?
Yeah, well, I'm in a big bite. Trust me, wait till week 12 comes, and these big hitters are all out.
This is true.
Yeah, 10, 11, and 12 are bad weeks.
And you're looking at some of those Dolphins players don't look too hateful.
Yeah, I'll take a Kenyon Drake on my flex.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Get you 7-ish.
Maybe.
They should spot you points for
We'll spot
playing
you too.
Dolphins players, right?
They should. All right, so the next one, Raiders at the Colts. This could be an interesting game. I think this is an offensive game for the Colts. But
Yeah, they
biggest
got a 6.5 spread. Oof. If the Colts are favored,
yeah.
it's going to be a good game.
For me, I got whether it's Deion Kane or Paris Campbell, because it sounds like T.Y. Hilton is not playing, or he is a game-time decision, which means he's not going to be 100%.
I don't think he's going to play.
I don't either.
All signs say to not, but they're not officially giving that out yet. It'll probably be a game-time decision. But looking at it, Deion Kane or Paris Campbell, the Raiders are the 29th worst against wide receivers, and they're given a total of 32 fantasy points to the wide receivers weekly. I think you can get close to 10 points out of either one of these guys. I just don't know who's going to be the one that gets you the 12 and who's going to get you the 8, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's the DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel. It's like, who's going to be the one this week that gets you the higher of the two? And just don't know. And that's
It's so
the problem.
frustrating when you choose wrong, too.
Yep, especially when you see your league mates got the guy that actually did well, and you're just like, oh, thanks for the punch in the gut.
Right, right.
So, I don't know. I'm not saying go out and start these guys if you've got better options, but if you've got a Robbie Anderson or you've got a Dante Pettis that's sitting on your bench now because of bye week, either one of these guys could be a play. And even better if you're playing the guy who has T.Y. Hilton now sitting on his bench.
Yeah.
But
Well, even if Jacoby Brissett for some reasson is rostered against your opponent,
Well,
play his wide receiving option. That's you think he's going to catch more balls.
Yeah, if you had a Jets, if you had Darnold or Garoppolo.
right.
Yep.
It's a good matchup. So, but that's my good in this one. Who's the bad in this one?
I went with Derek Carr.
Yeah.
He's just not throwing enough touchdowns compared to his interception rate to me to want to roster him.
Yeah, he's just not doing what I kind of expected him to kind of do this offense. Now, granted, I know there's been a lot of distractions, and Antonio Brown now, that was a big boost for him.
Well, my bold prediction was he was going to be a top 5 quarterback, and I do
You
not
feeling
like
that
that.
still?
No, I'm not.
No.
Antonio Brown kind of put a damper on things.
Yeah.
But
Well, that
have you put
totally
Derek in
changed everything.
the league of the corner of shame yet, or no?
Who?
Have you put Derek Carr in that corner of shame yet, or is he still hanging out in the common room?
No, everybody on that team besides Waller and Jacobs are in the corner.
Okay, just checking.
So,
Well, All right, who's
So-
the?
There you go. So just Derek Carr for me.
Yeah.
No go. He's going to probably throw you one pick and maybe one touchdown. There you go.
It's a 1-for-1 deal.
Yeah.
garbage time touchdown.
Yep.
My ugly in this one's Marlon Mack. He's averaging 18 points a game, but he struggles against the top-tier defenses. Tennessee held him to 8 points.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be, especially if T.Y. Hilton doesn't play, I think you could see Mack more in the passing game screens. but Oakland is 7th against running backs. But I still like Mack in this one.
I like Mack a lot.
I think you don't sit him, but you just kind of temper your expectations potentially this week.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to get you 18, but he can get you 13 to 15.
Well, he's going to be a roller coaster ride all year, but I tell you what, when he's hitting, it's big points. So
right.
He's someone I'd like to roster.
Especially with Hilton out. I like,
Yep.
yeah.
All right, so the next game in this one is Panthers at Texans. The good for me in this one is who did I put in there? Did I not put anybody? Oh, DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel. That's bad. I overlooked them. Just like
Wait, so they're good or bad?
they're good. I overlooked them like Cam Newton does when he's passing to him. But either way, so either one, DJ Moore or Curtis Samuel, I think are great plays. Texans are awful against the pass, like 28th bad, and they're giving up an average of 31 fantasy points. So those are really the two wide receivers on that offense, and now with Kyle Allen to be the quarterback for the foreseeable future, he's actually throwing the ball. And he's not timid. He's not pumping the ball a bunch of times, patting it, and taking a hit. He's throwing the ball. He's wanting to get the ball down the field, and he is using everybody.
Yep.
And with him moving the ball down the field, it is helping a guy named Christian McCaffrey actually be relevant again. Because when Cam was in, he was irrelevant because everybody was just basically taking him away. Well, now you have a passing threat, so you have to honor that somewhat. You can't just load the box up. So
when anyone worried about Greg Olson's usage now with Allen playing, you can take that out the window. He played great with them, so
I think he's back.
I'll tell you what, watch him going forward because if Allen plays good this week and the week after, especially with Newton nursing this injury, this is going to be your quarterback of the future, I think, for the Panthers.
I think so too.
So, and I think that's going to make DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, and Olsen now fantasy relevant throughout the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Players you might want to look at if you can go target for trades. So.
Yeah. Who did you have? You had Olsen, right?
I did, yeah. I have Greg Olsen as my ugly.
Yeah.
He's got you 20 points at least the last 2 weeks. He is nursing that back injury, but he was last week too. And like you talked about, Kyle Allen is actually throwing the ball, which is helping DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel now.
Right.
They're leaving Greg Olsen wide open, and he's getting the ball to him.
Underneath routes all day. I mean, and the thing is, like I said, Kyle Allen is a sneaky play this week, just so we're all aware as well, because I think that this Texans offense is going to put points on the board, or attempt to.
No, they will.
Right. I'm just saying, I think that you're looking at a defense, the Carolina Panthers, that are not good.
Yep.
So Kyle Allen's going to have to put points on the board
Be a
to match it.
small shootout.
Could be. So.
Right, I agree. Well, but still, it leads to my bad, which is it's going to be Duke Johnson here. I get it. The Panthers' defense really has not been that great. I just think Carlos Hyde's the better back. It's fitting better with that offense. That, in my opinion, the Texans' offense kind of been stagnant right now. It's just okay. It's not what I thought it would be. But with Duke Johnson losing touches and snaps to Carlos Hyde, I think Carlos Hyde's going to be the better play.
Well, like you said, Hyde's outplayed him, and that O-line, even with Tunsil, it's not gelling.
No.
I mean, Deshaun Watson's getting blasted.
Well, listen, I thought Deshaun Watson could at least rival Mahomes this year in fantasy points. Maybe I didn't think he'd ever beat him, but at least be up there. And I'll tell you what, it's not turning out that way. That offense is really slow to get started. So
I don't know.
it all does start up front. I mean,
Mahomes is on another tier.
Listen, I knew he's a cheat code.
I don't understand. Tyreek Hill goes down, and it doesn't even matter. You bring two guys that
Well,
McCall
I mean, he's
Hardman
playing
and
with
Robinson.
a low ankle sprain right now, which I know is you can play through, but I mean, he's acting like it's not even bothering him at all.
He's still doing what he does best.
Just chucking it all over the field.
I mean, some of these throws you're just like this is stuff that they teach you. Like this is like the
Like
number one sin in quarterback
Yeah, last
play.
week he throws off his back foot for a 40-yard touchdown.
But Brett Favre used to do it and made a living on it.
Well, I want to see when the Chiefs and Patriots now come together because we have two different styles of teams. We have the offense that's heavy offense. Defense is just okay.
Oof.
And then the Patriots now shifted from a very stout defense, strong, and their offense is good enough to contend. I mean, it looks really good right now on paper, but think about who they're playing on top of the fact that their defense is keeping them on the right side of the field.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Look at who the Patriots have played so far.
Right.
The Jets with Luke Falk, Dolphins, and whoever else it was. The Pittsburgh Steelers with Big Ben going out.
So when those two come together, I'd like to see what
It'll be
looks
interesting.
like.
No, I want to see that because I think that's going to be a pretty interesting. It's going to be a strategy, and I think that Belichick's going to do whatever he can to try to slow down Mahomes and confuse him like he did last year in the playoffs. So.
Yeah, because that's who you have to take away. Belichick's known to take away a player, but the problem is if you take away one of the wide receivers, another speedy wide receiver who's basically the same player is going to step up and go for 98 yards on a bomb. So
This is true.
Plus, they got that Kelsey guy to worry about, too.
I remember when you used to try to have to take him away in this offense.
Right.
Now he's like the third option on this offense.
And don't forget about that LaShawn McCoy guy.
Yeah.
Just saying.
They got weapons.
They do. Speaking of the Chiefs at Lions.
It's going to be ugly.
Yeah, it's going to be bad quick. The good in this one.
Watch.
The good in this one for me, I know it may come to surprise people, but Kerryon Johnson. I just think that we're looking at an offense that's going to be playing from behind, have to throw a ton, and Kerryon Johnson's probably going to be your best option out of the backfield, obviously. And I think the Chiefs are going to, what defensive talent they have is going to try to take away Galladay or Marvin Jones. So I think that he's going to be able to run free. TJ Hawkinson's disappeared. I don't even know if he's on the field when they snap the ball.
He's still in Arizona.
Oh, okay.
Relishing that 26-point
He didn't catch the fly back?
He'll come back to relevancy this week.
But, yeah, I mean, you're looking at 22nd against running backs. They're giving up an average of 21 fantasy points a week. I think Kerryon Johnson could be in that 13 fantasy points this week. I'm not saying RB1, but probably RB2 flex this week. Feel good about it.
And I'm on board with you. He's my ugly, Kerryon Johnson. I'm not saying he's bad, but I just think that Mahomes and him are going to get up early, and if Kerryon's going to get any points, like you said, it's going to come through the passing game.
Right.
Yeah.
So my bad's going to be either defense. I think it's going to end up being a high-scoring game. I think the Chiefs are going to come out early, be up, but then they're going to give up garbage touchdowns, which is going to take away. And let's be honest, Stafford is not turning the ball over like he did last year. I don't think there's going to be enough turnovers for either defense to be relevant.
No. All right, Ravens and Browns. It's in Baltimore. The good for me in this one, Marquise Hollywood Brown. I just think that this kid's he's lightning in a bottle. I just think it's just a matter of time in a game when he gets behind a defense and he scores for 70-some yards and a touchdown. The big thing is Cleveland is 26th against wide receivers, giving up an average of 29 fantasy points. I think he could be, let's put it this way, his ceiling I think is 20 points this week, because I just think that they're gonna put it to Cleveland and put it to them early and often, and I think Lamar Jackson's out to prove that he's the better quarterback of the two. I just think it's going to be Hollywood Brown's essentially going to be. I don't be surprised if he's like 3 or 4 receptions and like 90 yards. I'll call it another version of like McCall Hardman style, where it's 3 receptions, 96 yards, and a touchdown. Don't be surprised. Just saying, that's what I think his stat line's going to be this week. So,
listen, I'm on board with you, and that's how I hope it goes. I'm a little nervous that I think the Browns are going to come out with a little purpose this game. They need it. It's a division game. But still, I think the Ravens are going to be the better play. But to go into my bad here, I think to me it's Jarvis Landry. I think his role in this offense is totally gone by the wayside. If you want 8 points, he's going to solid give you 8 points. He's averaging like 3 receptions on 8 targets for 54 yards. That's what his weekly games are. He's not getting into the end zone.
We said that this offseason because OBJ coming in.
Right. Well, and that's what I thought. And OBJ's numbers have just been pedestrian. They're not really that good. The problem is we're not putting the ball in the end zone. This offense is not doing that. You know who is? Chubb. That's about it. So, I mean, if you don't have Chubb on this offense, I really don't. I mean, I like OBJ because he's going to get the most targets.
Right.
So he's purely volume-based, but other than that.
Yeah.
Which leads into the ugly. Good old Baker Mayfield. Gosh. Hasn't scored over 20 points yet in a game this season. I think that's going to continue. He's going to get you about 15 this week. They're in Baltimore. Due to his ADP, he's probably your starter. And, yeah, he does got weapons, but like you said, that offense is stagnant. They're not moving the ball. He's got 3 touchdowns this year and 5 interceptions.
Just for everybody, that's not good.
No. Yeah, and Baltimore's 9th against QBs. They got poster board material of all the hype that the Browns were going through, and they said they want to lay the wood.
Yeah, it's
I hope that's what I hope it goes, because I really want to see I like seeing the Ravens, their offense. But when you get these rival games like this, anything can happen.
I mean, we've seen it for years and years. I mean, with the Steelers and the Bengals and such. But I don't know. I just think that this might have been a whiff for being the quarterback, breaking Baker in that top 8 quarterback spot. Because I think he could still finish in that top 8, but it's going to be squeaking in at the very end of the year. I don't think we're going to – I'm just hoping it clicks eventually for him in that offense, because they put so much emphasis on this offense. But the problem is when you pay all this money into your weapons on offense and your defense, your offensive line is going to suck, and that's essentially what we're seeing.
They traded Zeitler away for Olivier Vernon, which was a mistake.
Right, I agree.
That's true.
Let's be honest, we did put a lot of emphasis on Freddie Kitchens this year, and maybe he just really wasn't ready.
No.
You know what I mean? I mean, his offensive coordinator last year, they said there was talk within that Freddie Kitchens got all the publicity and all the hype, but really he wasn't the main driving force there. And now all of a sudden we're seeing it, you know, firsthand that when he's got it by himself, it's not there.
And this defense isn't going to be ready for that dynamic Ravens attack.
No, it's not. Then, yeah.
Lamar Jackson's a beast.
Yeah.
He is.
He's one guy I needed to I'm going to let you right now. I was wrong on him. I thought he wouldn't be as good as he is. He is great. He's going to be fantasy relevant the entire year.
Absolutely.
Yep. All right, Patriots at Bills. For me in this one, the good, it is, I just drew a blank. Where did I put this guy? Good Lord. Sony Michel, another forgotten one. It's all right. Patriots forget him too. I'm sorry. I just think that this is, if you're going to play, there's no been talk of James White actually still being there. I've not heard that he's reported back from the baby being born and everything and all that. So
I thought I read he's gonna play this week.
okay. Well,
I could be wrong though.
No, either way,
We'll
it
get
doesn't
some
matter.
clarification.
But I just think that this week, it's at Buffalo. They're going to have to run the ball eventually, and I think being 29th against the run, 25 points a game, they're giving up to the running backs. I just think that you're looking at double-digit points for Sony this week. You may not like it. You may not be happy. You might be biting your nails the whole game waiting for it, but it'll get there. I promise.
Listen, I hate to disagree with you, but his 2.4 yards per carry is scary to me. He's one reception all year. He's non-existent in the passing game. I tell you what, Burkhead has been out-snapping him. I kind of think Burkhead might be the better play here if James White definitely doesn't play.
Yeah.
But
no, I agree.
You know what I mean? Because
understand.
he was, to me, I was a borderline what to do here because the Bills' defense is not terrible. I mean, they're only allowing 88 yards a game. They haven't even allowed a 100-yard rusher yet, so they're still a tough play. I think it's a tough matchup for Sony. We'll see which way he goes, but it's New England's backfield. You never know. I mean, Sony could be in the doghouse one week, and the next week he's in the penthouse. So.
Right.
But anyways, the bad play for me is Frank Gore. The Patriot defense has been nothing but fantastic this year. They're only letting up like 37 rushing yards per game, and they haven't even allowed one rushing touchdown yet. That's phenomenal. So
yeah.
I wouldn't play any Bills running back. Gore, even if I don't think Singletary's playing as of now, he's not. But
no, he's not.
I wouldn't play Gore or Singletary. So
yeah.
My ugly is Josh Allen. Like you said, New England's defense has been dominant. They've only allowed 17 points total against 3 teams.
Nuts.
Now, those 3 teams were Pittsburgh with 3, Dolphins with 0, and the Jets with 14.
Yep.
Those garbage touchdowns.
You mean, with that third quarterback?
Right. So,
yeah, I was going to say, one was a pick six, wasn't it?
Yeah, with Adams. Josh Allen's averaging 20 points per game, 250 yards, and a TD in each of these games, each of these first 3. Plus, he's got 105 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns on the ground.
Yep.
Bad matchup because of who New England's play, but Josh Allen is a sneaky play in this one.
Yeah, I know that my dad initially drafted Cam Newton, and after week 1 was like, I got to find another quarterback, and I was like, Josh Allen's on your waivers. He'd be your best opportunity if you don't want to trade for a quarterback. So
he's getting you 20 a game.
Let's put it this way: in a 10-man league, Newton made it 1 week for me.
Yeah, 1.
So
1.
Then gone.
He gone. Yeah, I think that this could be a low-scoring game though in this Patriots-Bills game. I think both defenses show up, and I think the Bills defense
defense isn't bad.
Well, and the Bills played New England better at home.
Right.
This is that one game where New England can sometimes struggle. So.
Yeah. All right, Buccaneers at Rams. Good in this one for me is Jared Goff. I just think that he plays good at home. The Tampa Bay has been suspect against quarterbacks and giving up a lot.
Yeah.
If they're not getting to him, like pass rush wise, they're not doing much. So they're giving up 21 fantasy points average through 3 weeks. I just think this is a week that you like Goff. And I will tell you, Cooper Kupp is the number 1 wide receiver in fantasy football for me. Just saying.
This week or in general?
General. I would not be surprised if he finishes top 3 for the end of the year. I mean, Blackburn called it 2 years ago when he was a rookie. And last year he was the guy until he got hurt.
Right.
Him and Goff just have this connection, and it's just when he's in trouble or when he needs a bailout, that's who he looks for.
And he's their red zone guy.
I just think that this is a potential for next year.
I like Cooper Kupp a lot.
I do too.
Don't be surprised if Kupp's not like a wide like the second or third round wide receiver next year. draft-wise at this point. If he
He's
finishes
gonna
out this
be the
year,
new.
I
He's
think
gonna be
he
the
would-
new Thielen.
He would have
I
been
think
higher
so.
this year if it wasn't for injury. If he weren't coming off injury, that was really the only concern most people
Right.
had.
yeah. So I like Goff in this matchup.
Well, so my bad is everyone's probably like Winston was back, right? Nope, he's back in the doghouse because he's playing the Rams this week. Actually, their defense has been pretty good against the quarterback. They're only allowing less than 200 yards a game to him, and they've only let up one passing touchdown. I think Winston could struggle again. He's going to be in that quarterback 2 range for me. I'm not expecting a ton.
It's a tough matchup, especially at LA.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. It being in LA and being that Rams defense, if you have Jameis Winston,
I imagine you're going to play him.
you're gonna play him, but you're hoping that he keeps that turnover ratio to
Yeah.
like 1, maybe 2 worst.
Well, I just don't want everyone to get all hyped up because, listen, he had a great game last week. I mean, at least for fantasy purposes.
But the matchup was favorable.
Right. And the Rams you could normally pass against them, but like last year, they gave up some passing yards. This year, they're not really, that's not there.
They played the Giants last week. Okay, they didn't have Aaron Donald and Clay Matthews and Aqib Talib and all these other guys.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
it's being at the Coliseum. I think that's another favorable thing for this Rams team in general.
Yeah.
But
Ugly for this game, Todd Gurley.
yeah,
You're going to play him based on
yeah.
name, and he's been disappointing to say the least. This
Yeah.
week, though, Sean McVay did say that they want to increase his touches from 15 to 25. That's what you want to hear if you're a Gurley owner. However, the Bucs are second-ranked best against the running back, only averaging or allowing 69 yards per game. So it's going to be tough sledding for Gurley unless he's catching out of the backfield.
That's what I want to see. If that goes up, Gurley's back, or
Yeah.
at least back to a version of himself. If it's the same this week, where he's only got a couple targets, I'm sorry, but Gurley has almost been a wasted pick.
Well, he's only getting 10 to 12 touches per game, and or rushing wise,
Right.
they need to do.
Well, they're not just running the ball in general. I mean, Malcolm Brown all of a sudden, I thought the first week it'd be like a 50-50 split. It's really
No.
not.
Yeah.
They're just not running the ball.
Right.
That running back spot's just going to the wayside.
All 3 wide receivers have been showing out. So
I can't figure out why. I mean, they've got a good offensive line. It does a good job at run blocking.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't figure out. The only thing I can think is that McVay's trying to ease Gurley because they want him at that back end of their real season when then they could just lay the hammer down and just
okay, well, that
grind
should
it
have
out.
took 2 weeks. He should have been a beast.
I feel like the tempo they're playing with is a lot slower this year.
True.
Almost like they're relying on their defense a little bit more than years past, or at least last year. When we saw them, I mean, they just seem to. I'd like to look at how many plays they're running per game. I bet for me, it looks down.
Yeah. It just does. It doesn't seem like this high octane offense that we saw last year that was just rolling through
Yep.
the NFC. But all right, the next game we've got in this one is Seahawks at Cardinals. This could be an interesting game point wise. I think a lot of points could be scored in this game because it's on the road for Seattle.
Yeah.
For me in this one, the good I think is Chris Carson, and this is based solely on the fact that Rashad Penny's still not practicing. He may not play. If Rashad Penny plays, then I think the playing field gets a little bit more leveled. But I still think that Chris Carson, even though he's had the fumbling issues, he has still been proven that he is the guy that they want to get the ball as early and often as possible. It just, if you take away his fumbles, he makes it, 12, 13 fantasy points each week. It's just when you see the fumbles, 1, 2 fumbles, I mean, that's 4 points right off the bat.
Right.
So, I don't know. The biggest thing is it's not a great matchup, but I also think the Cardinals really haven't played any good rush teams.
no.
I agree.
So-
That goes in my ugly. I got Chris Carson. He started the year off hot with 25 points against the Bengals, but since then he's had 15 total points in 2 weeks. And
Yeah.
fumbles. I mean, he's only had 1 fumble per game lost. But I got ugly based on Rashad Penny playing.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, it will take a little bit away. But,
Yeah.
I mean, I like Chris Carson in the matchup, just hoping it's not fumble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just hoping that he's cured that
Right.
fumbleitis.
Well, not to keep talking about Chris Carson, but in my bad, it's Rashard Penny because I think the hamstring injury, even if he plays, he's not going to be what he can be. So I think it's going to be the Chris Carson show at least for this week. If Chris Carson fumbles anymore, I'll tell you what, going forward, I'd have that Rashard Penny at least waiting in the backfield.
Yeah. And then I just think not a sneaky play, but I think Russell Wilson's going to be a good one this week.
Yeah.
50 attempts last week passing.
That offense is just it's really weird.
Dilly,
yeah,
Dilly.
don't forget about him.
Arizona is ranked dead last, 32nd against tight ends. Just so you know.
Just say they're bad. So
He's one I thought I might see in the good here. Was old Dilly.
I thought about it, but I'm like, everybody's on the hype right now, so everybody's probably playing him.
Well, he's got 3
To be honest
touchdowns
with you,
already.
Chris Carson's probably the hot button issue.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to know about.
Lockett is probably a good one. You're going to play Lockett.
First off, why is anyone benching Lockett right now?
I don't know.
I've seen it, though.
Yeah, in any league that's 10 and plus, how is Lockett not on your everyday roster?
Not in the rosters that I have him as sitting.
Now, listen, I played against him when he was on the bench, and that's why I won. If he was in,
because
I
he
lose.
threw up 26 or something.
I'm just saying,
I don't know.
Metcalf's is not doing as great as everybody thought he was right out the
He's
gate.
getting you 10 to 11. I mean,
Metcalf is your flex play when you need it.
Yeah.
When you need
Yeah.
it. But Lockett should be he's a borderline wide receiver 2 to wide receiver 1
well,
every
Pete Carroll
week.
even said if the game script comes down to it, he's not opposed to having Russell Wilson drop back for 50-plus passing attempts.
Do what you got to do to win the game.
Especially with now you got fumbleitis right now.
This is true.
So
This is true. All right, Vikings at Bears. Good in this one for me, David Montgomery. I just think he's continuing to see the ball more and more. Tariq Cohen is becoming more and more irrelevant.
True story.
So they're 16th against running backs, giving up about 18 fantasy points a game. I think you can get 12 to 14 out of David Montgomery.
They need to get him involved in the passing game more.
that's exactly you took the words right out of my mouth. I was high on David Montgomery because I thought he'd be more involved in the passing game. And right now, he's just been slowly involved, not too much. The more he increases in that, the more he'll be a better play.
I just want to tell Matt Nagy, stop feeding the ball to Cordell Patterson. Seriously.
Yeah, what is up with that?
Matt Nagy tries to outthink the room. He drives me insane. Watching his offense is awful.
The short yardage game they put in Cordell Patterson. I understand he was a running back, but that was in high school.
Yeah.
Come on.
And you see when Montgomery gets the ball, what he does in space and even in a boxed-in line. I mean, when the lines get boxed up, you see he finds the hole, he jumps, he's got spin moves, he's got enough, and he's got low ground. He kind of reminds me of like a Maurice Jones-Drew type body frame where he's just a bowling ball coming through. Why wouldn't you play this guy in a short yardage play?
Or even Mike Davis. I mean,
Yeah.
he's a bruiser.
Well, it's funny. It's weird that like now Tyler Gabriel, all of a sudden he's found a great little niche for him, and he does great with that. But then Nagy can't figure out what to do with the backfield. He can't. Allen Robinson's up and down. I mean, Trubisky. Let's be honest. I mean, if without Gabriel's 3 touchdowns, where's he throwing the ball?
Plus, look who he played.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm just saying. They're 32nd for a reason.
This is true. I don't know. I can't figure out this Bears offense. But if I had to pick anybody on this Bears offense to play, I'm playing David Montgomery.
Absolutely.
Well, good. I'm going to lead right into my ugly, which is Robertson, because I think he's going to get Xavier Rhodes, and I don't think you're going to get the high point production. I think it's that roller coaster here. We're on the downswing right now.
And don't count on what's his name getting 3 touchdowns again.
Yeah,
Taylor
Gabriel.
Gabriel.
Taylor Gabriel's not getting
Listen,
those three.
Vegas only has it a 38.5 point over under. I mean, that's a low scoring game. So
Yeah.
Well, Kirk Cousins is going to be running.
yeah. Well, listen, Dalvin
For
Cook,
his
man, he's going to have a tough day too.
Yeah, Dalvin, he has to get involved in the passing game, screens and whatnot. Try to unload this defense.
Dalvin Cook could hurt you if you're a standard league this week.
Yeah.
Especially, he's probably a high draft pick, but in a PPR standard, he'll probably do enough to be okay.
Yeah. Bad. Who's the bad?
Ugly is Stephon Diggs.
Ooh.
I mean, it's a decent matchup. Chicago's 21st against wide receivers, but Diggs has only been targeted the whole season 12 times
That's awful.
for 6 receptions, 101 yards, and 1 touchdown. That's it. And half of that came last week on a 50-yard touchdown.
Yeah, Diggs is getting ready to get moved to the corner of shame here soon. Sad.
Again, with ADP, you're probably starting Diggs because
Yep.
he's probably your wide receiver 2 or 1 if you went running back heavy. But I wouldn't expect much production.
I'm not playing him. I can't. I mean, I'd rather. Here's the
I
thing.
was hoping you were going to.
I'd rather him sit on my bench and get 20 this week than me play him and him get 5 and just be like, yep, well, it
Well,
is
here's
what
the
it
thing.
is.
Even if he gets 20 on your bench, if it's like Blackburn just said, if it's off of one play, does it really matter? I mean, was he really that great of a play? You want to see the volume come back. Then he becomes a really good play every
The
week.
only 2 people on that offense getting volume is Cook and Thielen.
Yep.
That's it.
And
I
the
agree.
rise of Irv Smith. Irv Smith actually is getting involved. Kyle Rudolph has been put off into the reservation, apparently. I don't know.
He's the
Well,
blocking tight end.
I was confused why they gave him the money.
Well, they need 2 tight end sets. You got injuries, but yeah, they drafted Irv Smith for a reason.
Right.
And he's showing out the last 2 weeks. So, all right, Jaguars at Broncos.
Dun, dun, dun.
The good in this one for me.
I don't have to watch it.
Well, that's not true. Manuel Sanders, no Jalen Ramsey, best corner that they got. Why not? I mean, Sanders has been doing well. They're giving up an average of 22 fantasy points to wide receivers, and he's the guy to Flacco in that awful passing game.
Yeah.
So
he is nursing an injury, it's a leg injury, but I think he'll play.
Dude,
I just
have bounce back from an Achilles injury like he did. It's miraculous that he's playing as well as he did so quickly.
It's just Flacco. I can't stand Flacco as being my quarterback.
I thought we'd be hearing about Noah Fant a lot.
Right.
I'm really surprised we haven't.
Well, this offense is weird. Each week it seems like a different player has stepped up and been relevant. I mean, heck, Philip Lindsay balled out last week, and he's kind of just been okay all year.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking 12 points from Sanders this week
as
a floor, safely.
I could see that. All right. My bad is going to be D.D. Westbrook. Coming into the year, I was high on D.D. I really thought he'd be the Jaguar receiver to own, but it's not. Minshew and DJ Chark have this unbonding relationship where they both go knock it out with their mustaches and stuff on the weekend. So that's who I want.
DJ Chark.
That's who I want. So if it's not DJ Chark, I don't want anyone else. So
yeah, that's who I'm starting over Stephon Diggs. If everyone would like to know, just so we're all aware.
No, it's a great start. It's a great pickup.
Volume is there. He's the main guy. Offense seems to be rolling through him.
And Broncos D ain't what it used to be.
Bad.
No. And like I said,
Von Miller's pretty much non-existent.
Yeah.
It's bad. I really thought that they were going to do something with Vic Fangio coming in and being a defensive-minded coach, and it's not done anything. No. It's still the same mediocre defense. So
ugly for this one. We just talked about him, Philip Lindsay. He did go off last week for 29 points against Green Bay, but Green Bay's defensive line isn't the Jaguars. Green Bay's defensive line's like 24th. Jacksonville's 5th. Against running backs. So Lindsey's going to have to rely on the passing game, I think. If Freeman's not healthy, you can see a healthy dose of Lindsey, though.
Yeah.
I need Lindsey to slow it down for this trade. I mean, I thought I was sitting pretty, and then all of a sudden, I'm down 5 points again.
It's that Aaron Jones and Williams, man. They just
I'm not even worried about that anymore. I'm worried about the fact that Aaron Jones, the only reason why he's even been relevant is because of his touchdowns. And that's scary to me. I don't want a touchdown-dependent guy.
You want to know something funny? That Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams have the same agent. It just as a random fact. So if you're the agent of both, which one are you hoping does better? Because at this point, you're really or do you hope that they're both doing well and they kind of even?
They're both mediocre, and you get two mediocre.
But just saying, I just found that out when I was looking through. I'm like, why?
It is weird.
Why do these guys seem like they're really good friends? I know that backfields are always supposed to be together. And then I did a little research, found out they're both by the same agency.
Well, real quick, it's easy to be friends and buddy with everyone when you're winning ball games.
That's
sure.
also true.
So,
thanks, defense.
Yeah, well, ask Cleveland here next week.
Ooh.
Anyways, so Sunday night game, Cowboys at Saints. I think it still carries some weight because Bridgewater showed up. I didn't think we were going to see it.
Yeah.
So
Kamar's a beast.
He is.
One-man wrecking crew right there.
Much. For me in this one, the good Dak Prescott. I think this defense, the offense is he's just picking apart defenses. He's not solely going to Amari Cooper. He's not solely going to Gallup when he was there. He's not solely going to Cobb. He's throwing to whoever's open. And that's the thing. And he's throwing into tight windows, which you haven't seen in years past. He's confident in his throws. He's not just willy-nilly going out there and just saying, throws it. It's got a purpose with it when he throws it. And the fact that two running backs that he has, not just Zeke, but Pollard is actually playing well is also. Yeah. The offensive line is staying healthy. The defense is putting pressure on the opposing offenses. I just think that we're going to see – I just think Dak Prescott's going to be looking at that 20 points again this week. I just think that this offense is going to be pushing that defense on its heels a lot.
That's the surprise for me is that the offense isn't running through Zeke.
No.
Not
as much.
It's going through Dak, which is opening the run.
Well, who's the Boise State who's your offense coordinator?
Kellen Moore.
Thank you. He's changed that offense, and I'll tell you what, for a guy like Dak who bet on himself this year, every week that he balls out like this, that price tag on him goes up.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So for him, it's like, I hope he keeps doing well because the Cowboys are going to have to pay, and they're probably going to pay more than that original dollar amount.
Oh, yes, they're now. Now we're approaching that $40 million talk.
Well, Adam Schefter just put on here, Mahomes could get greater than 200, 40 to 42 mil per.
Oof.
That's
5-year, $42 million.
It's hard to say he's not worth every penny of that, even more.
Just imagine if he had Pro Bowl receivers with him.
Well, he does because he makes some Pro Bowl receivers.
That's true.
Is he the next Tom Brady guy that just takes the average or above average wide receivers and makes them excellent?
Well, I think he's more talented than Tom Brady. Tom Brady's smarter, I think. And he can pick apart defenses. Mahomes is just natural talent, arm talent, better than Brady.
True. So, anyway, for me, Dak Prescott, don't be surprised if he gets you 20+.
Yeah. I agree completely.
Saints defense is 32nd out of 32nd against quarterbacks. They give up an average of 31.
Yeah. Well, my bad is a guy that's just been irrelevant for this team is Jared Cook.
Man.
He's only seeing 4 targets a game, like we just talked about with Diggs. It's just not enough for be fantasy relevant. So for me, I'm going to sit Cook until.
Which is a huge disappointment.
Yeah. Well, it just goes to show when you're not the only option like he was out in Oakland. For
Who was
the
it? They
Raiders.
said that they put him. He's kind of like this team's. I just drew a blank. Who was the tight end they had a couple years ago that was really good that played with Andrew Luck at Stanford?
Oh, Cody
Fleener.
Yeah.
Yep.
Really talented kid coming out, had one good year, and then he ends up going to he plays at the Saints and he disappears.
Well, I just thought him and Bridgewater might have a connection going forward too, but that doesn't seem to be there either. So.
No. My ugly for this one, and you're going to play him, is Michael Thomas. I just don't expect the usual. I put Breeze going down, already put a hamper on his production.
Yes.
Now you got Bridgewater. Dallas is 8th against wide receivers. They're going to target in and probably double team Michael Thomas. He's going to get you 12 to 15 probably.
I think the big thing is the pressure that the Dallas is going to try to put on Bridgewater to make quick throws, short throws, check downs. So that's what I'm thinking you're going to see a lot of. I'm not saying that Michael Thomas won't get you a decent amount, but don't expect like 20+ points.
It's not like it was last year where he was getting points everywhere.
Right. And then we come to the 0-3 Bowl.
Yeah.
Monday Night Football.
Listen,
who would have thought before the season started that we would come in, the Steelers are 0-3, the Bengals are 0-3. But gosh, we're playing for who's the worst.
You think ESPN's like over there just crying in the corner because they paid all this money for Monday Night Football, and the Monday night matchups have just been garbage.
Yeah, last week was terrible.
They've been terrible. This is going to be another bad football game. I mean, it's 2 bad teams.
You don't think that they're going to play up to the rivalry?
I think they need to start flexing early, like flexing games.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I mean, listen, the Bengals Steelers is always there's got fireworks there. Don't get me wrong, but I just mean on a true basis of what this means for the whole NFL as a whole. This game really doesn't mean that much.
Yeah, unless you're a fan of Pittsburgh and Cincinnati and know about the rivalry. Outside of that, the casual fan isn't going to probably watch this game.
Right. I agree. That was my point exactly.
Now, my big thing looking at this is, you're talking about flexing games and stuff like that. Why don't we have like an East Coast Monday night game and a West Coast Monday night game like they did week 1? To make it, I think it would be good. So that way, in case you have a bad matchup a couple weeks down the road ahead of time that you didn't see coming before the season, like a Bengals and Steelers, where they're both 0-3, you still have a West Coast game that may involve Kansas City or the Chargers or Oakland against somebody. I'm just saying, I liked week 1 when you had the 2 Monday nights. You had the East Coast Monday night that started about 7-ish, 8-ish, and then you had the 10 o'clock Monday night game. Because the West Coast guys are traveling through traffic when that game comes on at 8, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.
Right.
So
problem is your everything gets depleted when you do that because the West Coast viewers aren't there for the East Coast game then. And then the West Coast game's kicking off so late, you're losing the East Coast audience. So in general, by putting 2 games on, it's great because maybe in their local markets it's real high.
Right.
But on the national stage, it's not as good. Monday night, you want it to be every eyeball's on it from all over the place.
In week 1, everybody's so excited and anxious for the season that they're going to watch.
And I think the Sunday night game, because it's the Saints and Cowboys, will draw a better audience.
Absolutely.
I think more people are interested in that.
I was going to say, I think that'll be the game, the highest watched, I guess, if you want to put that there.
I think so,
I'm trying
too.
to think, look at the other games.
No.
Maybe Browns-Ravens, because it's going to be a rivalry game, and you want to see how
on
Baker
national
Lamar.
level, it's going to be Cowboys-Saints.
I think the Vikings-Bears will just be fun as a slugfest kind of game. That'll be it's 2 good defenses going at it.
Black and blue. That's what they used to call that division.
Anywho,
who you got for the good in this one?
Joe Mixon. He's
coming back to life?
He did last week.
Yep.
So I think it's another favorable matchup, and I think that this team's going to have to find a way to get him involved, and I think they will early. And I think that you're looking at – I'm not saying you're going to get 20 points out of Joe Mixon. You're starting him probably as your RB2 this week, and that's what you feel good about. 13 to 15 fantasy points. The Steelers are giving up about 19 fantasy points through 3 weeks on average.
Yeah.
So,
Agree.
I don't know. I just think that we're going to be looking at potentially a bunch of offenses that are just sputtering.
Yeah.
And somebody's going to eventually score.
Yeah, well, they're going to have to. At least you hope.
Right.
That's not true. We've seen
It ends 0-0. Oh, that'd be
Just saying.
awful.
Anyways.
My bad is James Washington in this. The whole connection with him and Mason Rudolph just isn't there yet. 2 receptions, 14 yards last week. That's just not going to get it done.
Nope. I mean, Juju's even struggling.
Well, that's okay. Well, that's my question I was going to ask. So Juju, I think, will have a good game against the Bengals. It's the Bengals. Let's be honest. Are you trying to sell him now? Maybe at his highest point.
Yes.
As me,
And
I agree
Connor.
with you.
And
I agree
Connor.
too.
If you can get a good game out of them on Monday night,
I'd sell the
high.
farm.
sell as high as you could get and call it a day.
I mean, I don't think Connor's broke 10 points.
No, I tell you what. With Connor though, so if you get rid of Connor, you got to get depth. I want multiple pieces for Connor. Juju, I think he'll pull the bigger
Name.
name. Yeah,
You
which
could probably get a
pull.
solid running back back.
Yeah, which I don't really want to go 1 for 1. Yeah, if you can listen, if you're gonna give a running back's got to come back. When you trade wide receivers, you can almost go wide receiver for wide receiver.
Yeah.
At least in my opinion.
Ugly for this game, John Ross. He came out blazing, 62 points in the first 2 weeks. He had 270 yards, 3 touchdowns. Last week, that Buffalo defense we were talking about put him to an end. He only had like 3 points, so 0 touchdowns. Pittsburgh is 17th against receivers. I think all the attention is going to be on Tyler Boyd and Mixon, which John Ross could probably have another sneaky game. I'm looking at 12 to 13 fantasy points.
Right. As long as he holds on to the ball and doesn't drop everything.
Yes.
He's
This
right
is true.
there. I like Tyler Boyd though. I'm not gonna lie.
Speaking of AJ Green, it sounds like a lot of now it's not come out officially, but it sounds like he's still not close to coming back, health-wise.
No, I think it's the direction the team's going now. I think if the team had won a couple games, I think you'd see him
Push back.
further along. But now that we're 0-3, about to be 0-4.
So what do you think? Do you think they stretch it out and then try to trade him before the trade deadline?
I would say I've heard that they're going to try to trade him.
I don't know. And that it'd be great, but it's hard to trade a guy that's hurt.
Well, I mean, if he's ready to go by then.
He's out of the boot, and they said he's off to the side running.
And they're off to this youth movement here in Cincinnati. I mean, there's a contender out there that can go out and get an AJ Green.
If the return's there, I don't see how they pass
Patriots.
it up.
Watch Patriots go get him.
Patriots, Chiefs. There's a lot of teams that could deal with
Patriots
it.
are going to be all over them if they can. They're going to need to be because Kansas City's offense is just way too good. You got to have another piece there, I think.
Yeah, and Edelman's already banged up. Josh Gordon's been banged up. Philip Dorsett's been a pleasant surprise.
The problem is so what if you're the Bengals? What's the Patriots going to offer you that's really intriguing?
Well, they're not going to.
They're going to give you like a third or a round.
That's what I mean. They're
Third
going to
round and some
lowball you.
money.
Well, they can give you a second-round pick, which in theory is going to be a third-round pick.
Potentially.
So
I'd rather a young team that's doing well, I think, will throw out a better offer to the Bengals because they think they need the A.J. Green right now, when in all reality, they probably need to stay
I was
put.
trying to think. What young team has a good up-and-coming quarter? Well, the Giants.
I don't think they're going to go after
no,
it.
Seattle Seahawks could probably do it.
That's interesting.
It is true. Pair him up with Lockett and Metcalf.
Well, so a team like I was thinking right now is the Bills. I could see the Bills dumping a pick when really they don't need to be doing that. They're 3-0 right now. They've started off good. I get that. They haven't really played the greatest teams yet. But I could see them going after another wide receiver to help to pair with Allen.
Oakland, they got picks.
There you go. Oakland got burned, though, with the Brown thing. I don't know
Yeah,
if
but
they
AJ
will.
Green's way different than.
I think they're in a rebuild, though.
Yeah, I mean.
Jaguars could be interesting. I mean, listen, if Minshew's the guy and they start winning ball games, but I don't know if they're going to give up much. What if Jalen Ramsey ends up on the Bengals team for an A.J. Green swap?
See, I thought
Plus
that
picks.
too. I thought Washington should trade Trent Williams to New England for that first-round pick, which is it'll be a second-round pick probably. Take our pick and Josh Norman, send it to Jacksonville, so they get a cornerback and a first-round pick, and then we take Ramsey. So we lose the contracts of Trent Williams and Norman, and then pay Ramsey.
True. But if they're not one to, I don't know. Ramsey to me is an elite talent. So why would you give him up to get a lesser run cornerback? But I understand it's a possibility. I mean,
Well, if he's not going to play for you,
it's a waste anyway.
Right.
I don't know. I just think that Jalen Ramsey is going to go to a team that we're all just going to be like, oh man.
I hope it's not Philly. A
Yeah.
pick in Zach Ertz is enticing because
It is.
Zach Ertz is still young enough to.
Well, and Dallas Goedert's now back, so if he's back and healthy, you can't run 2 tight ends efficiently in a passing game. Just saying.
Right.
I don't know. There's a lot of what ifs, but I mean, I think this year before the trade deadline or the week of before the final 4 o'clock time frame that they say no more, I think we're going to have 2 or 3 big trades this year. I just have this gut feeling that something's going to go down where we're going to have 2 or 3 big names move to a different team.
Well, I know he's not a huge name, but I think Dalton's going to get dealt. There's rumor. I was listening to Dan Patrick, and I love his inside information, but he did say that someone drafted the Bengals' first-round pick, a quarterback, before they got the chance. And that's why the movement and the things they did. They wanted a quarterback high, which I think shows me now, especially with the Bengals playing bad, that Dalton is available, and it might not be at a high price.
So who would be the first-round quarterback that they wanted?
I don't know.
That they could have got? Haskins?
Jones is who's rumored to have been maybe a guy that they were really looking into.
Well, I mean, it makes sense.
So, but yeah, he didn't. There was no name was actually thrown out there, but
Right.
Huh.
But yeah, so I could see Andy Dalton. I mean, being moved to a team, especially if a quarterback goes down.
And I don't mean I like Finley.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's fine. He's fine. He's going to be a great gap guy.
Good bridge guy.
Yep.
I don't know.
This quarterback class coming out is legit.
Well, that's the thing. That's why I have a hard time seeing a lot of teams giving up picks because of that.
So you think they're going to trade AJ and Dalton and just start over with this new fresh crop?
Listen, I completely would understand it.
Yeah.
I would do that and then go get yourself a first-round quarterback and then just build up the offensive line the rest
Boyd,
of the draft.
Ross, and I mean, keep building that O-line up, man.
That's what they need. They need offensive linemen.
Well, they'll get their guy back from Alabama this year.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So even in
next year.
if Dalton or Green were to get traded in a offensive lineman, even one that just helps with depth comes back, I would be appreciative of that because that's where they need help bad. Well, listen, that defense needs help all over the place.
Yeah, but
we're a few years away for really contending.
True.
Or at least being
But you got to be able to
relevant.
throw up points.
Right.
You can work on the defense later. As long as you can score points, you can stay in
And
the
you've
game.
shown in his offense when the quarterback has time, the offense is not bad.
No. Well, like I said, they'll get their first-round pick back this year, and the 2 guards retiring really hampered them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then our center going down doesn't hurt. Doesn't help either. So.
When you're 3.
Or not the tackle.
Prices? I was going to say Prices hurt
Yeah.
I
them?
was say
Nah,
3 of your 5
yeah,
offensive
that's what I
linemen
meant.
are
Williams
either
went down.
retired or injured. It's kind of bad.
Kind of crazy.
So, all right. So that's all we got for today's show. Tell you guys thanks for joining us. You can follow the podcast on any of the platforms that you listen to us, and as well as YouTube, DATV on the podcast and YouTube side. Make sure you hit the subscribe and the notification button so you know when the new episodes drop. Articles and apparel at thehateful8ff.com. And also, like we mentioned in the last show, patreon.com. Search the Hateful Eight Fantasy Football Podcast for your in-season projections weekly, $10 a month, and we'll do our normal Sunday Q&A as we always do. The writers, us, will all be involved. Fire away your questions, whatever you got, and if you got them before then, you can send them as well. But I know that a lot of people wait till right before, like 2 hours before kickoff to really.
Right before they need to set their lineups.
Right. It's like, okay, I got this dilemma. So we welcome those. We appreciate it. We enjoy answering them. And you're not going to get a uniformed answer across the board if you look at our answers, because some of the writers may have opinion of a certain player where we differ, or we and a writer may see the same, but another writer might not. So we don't always agree on the same sides of players. So, I mean, if you listen to today's show, some of us had guys that we thought were good, and some of us thought the same guy was a bad or an ugly. So it just that's the thing about fantasy football. Everybody has their own set of eyes that they watch and they kind of check and see whether or not you think this guy's going to be a good matchup or not. So,
but when we differ, we try to give reasons for
right.
it. Normally, when we agree, it's just the one-word answer or a picture that's coming through.
Right. So you can follow us on Twitter. I'm at jpickle, TH8FF, at jblackburn, TH8FF, and at ftrim, TH8FF.
The real one.
The real one. So
The only one?
maybe. Anything else?
No.
No.
Okay. All right. See you later.